It is very easy when you have a job like I have, sitting in front of this microphone and making picks all the time, to overthink the room. So I'm going to try to not do that here. Neither one of these teams, Alabama and Tennessee, has been playing great football over the last couple of weeks. Neither one of these teams has looked as strong as they did earlier in the season. Neither one of these teams looks like they're winning the SEC or going to the college football playoff. I'm going to venture a guess and say we are not going to look at a college football playoff in the 12-team era, which is, of course, what we have this season against my better judgment. And neither Tennessee nor Alabama will be included. Winner of this game, probably in. Loser, probably out. Given the remaining schedules, Tennessee still has to go to Georgia. Bama's still got LSU and others. So when I look at this matchup, I'm trying not to overthink the room. I've got a first-year head coach on one side and a more experienced coach on the other who is also at home. I like this first-year head coach. But then I think about, well, wait a minute. What's been the problem with these two teams? The offenses haven't been good. They haven't been consistent. Alabama's has looked better, but certainly not great. Jalen Milroe has been turning the football over. So what do I trust more to happen in this game? A quarterback undergoing his first full season as a starter in Nico Iamaleava to suddenly figure it out in a big spot against Alabama when he's looked a little deer in the headlights more often than Vols fans would have liked at this point in the season? Or do I trust Jalen Milroe to figure it out more? A guy who was benched last year, came back, had Alabama on the brink of, wait for it, getting to a national championship, and has just not quite been settled in the way he needs to in the last couple of games. Who do I feel like is further away from reaching the potential he needs to get the offense humming, as both these fan bases know they can? The answer is Nico Iamaleava. He's further away when I watch these two guys. Jalen Milroe just needs to hone it back in to get himself back to where he was just a couple of weeks ago. Nico still has to unlock another gear. So I think Alabama goes into Knoxville, wins the football game. I don't expect there to be a ton of defense played, but I expect there to be more than the last time these teams met at Neyland, because that was 52-49, over 800 yards of passing. The quarterbacks are not figuring it out like that in this game. Alabama wins 34-30. They get the win on the road in one of the games of the week in the SEC. The other one is Georgia-Texas, of course. Top 5 matchup, college game day in Austin. Texas, undefeated, ranked number 1. And I got him going down. I know everyone wants to pretend that Georgia stinks, that Georgia isn't any good at football. I don't hold that particular opinion, but I don't think everybody actually does, or that many people really think Georgia isn't good. They're just not what they were a few years ago. But last time I checked, they've still got Carson Beck. They've still got Kirby Smart. And boy, that might be all you need. Now, Georgia last week gave up more points than Bulldog fans are accustomed to seeing against a team like Mississippi State. I don't think that's going to last. I don't think Georgia's defense is going to continue to be a quote-unquote problem or be something that fans look at and go, oh, well, that's not a really impressive side of the ball. Now, I can see the offense fading, but when has the offense been a problem for Georgia this year? Their point totals go like this: 34, 48, 13. I don't know what Mark Stoops was cooking up there in Kentucky, but did something right. 34, 31, 41. So the offense is fine. So you're telling me that for Georgia to get to where they usually are, they need to figure out the defense? I've got some faith. Questions, but I've got faith. Georgia is going to play a great football game here. Go into Austin, upset Texas, and remind everyone, hey, we're still the Georgia Bulldogs, and we're still one of the best teams, maybe the best overall program in all of college football. Georgia, 28. Texas, 23. How about that? Strange numbers indeed. Florida, hosting Kentucky. Florida's been playing better football. I can't figure out Florida. I picked them to lose to Tennessee, but I thought they'd get blown out. Instead, they went to overtime. I don't think I've had a good game prediction, so make of this whatever you will, Gators fans, as they continue to play better football, but now Graham Mertz isn't there. They're back at home. Sure, I'll take Florida. I don't even know why. Probably just because they're at home and Billy Napier's coaching for his job every week. Yeah, sure. 21-13 Florida, I guess. Vanderbilt, chance to win their 5th game of the year. Vanderbilt's 2 wins away from going bowling. They play Ball State this week. They are 26.5-point home favorites against an FBS opponent. Good for Vanderbilt. They've got Texas next week. Look out. Look out, Texas. Here comes Vandy. They've got Auburn, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee. A lot of opportunities for Clark Lee and company. I think they'll be just fine against Ball State. Wouldn't be surprised if you look up and go, man, it's strange to see Vandy score that many points. Ball State is not very good. So give me Vandy 44 and Ball State 10. Texas A&M goes to Mississippi State. Any chance the Bulldogs pull an upset in Starkville? Not on my watch, because Texas A&M, one of the teams in the SEC, I've had a pretty good pulse for to this point. Thought they would lose Notre Dame. Done pretty well since. They look pretty good. They're 3-0 in the SEC. Been playing good football. That upsets people because Texas A&M is not a team that a lot of people like because of all the money they've had and the lack of success that has come of it. But guess what? Mike Elko's a good coach, and Texas A&M's a good football team. Mississippi State is not. I think the Bulldogs offense comes back to the mean after a good showing last week against Georgia. Aggies 31-10. They go into Starkville and get the win. South Carolina at Oklahoma. Here's an under-the-radar game that is interesting and fun for both fan bases, but isn't interesting and fun for anybody else. Because why would you care about this game? Why would you? Because this is a college football show, and college football is great, and Oklahoma's 1-2 in the SEC. What feels worse? 1-2 in the SEC or 1-3 in the SEC? Oh, wait, I know the answer to that question. So Oklahoma's at home favored by 1.5 points. And look, Sooners fans, you and I have had our quarrels, disagreements, shall we say. There was a lot of flack on my prediction that Oklahoma had no shot of being Texas, and I just didn't understand things. Well, maybe I don't, but at the very least, a blind squirrel found an acorn for that particular game. I think that a blind squirrel is going to find an acorn once again here. Give me South Carolina and Beamer ball to go in to Norman and walk out with a victory. Gamecocks get the win by a final score, low scoring. Watch this, 17-14. Boom, low scoring game. Here's the most interesting game in the SEC that doesn't have huge stakes. I guess there are stakes for Missouri in this game because they're sitting at 5-1. If you go 11-1, you're going to make the college football playoff. I don't know if Missouri can do that. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They've still got to play Alabama. They've got to play at South Carolina. They've got to play Arkansas. Feels like they're due for another loss. Does that come this week, though? There might not be a team in the SEC that needs a win more badly than Auburn because, well, they haven't won an SEC game just yet. 2-4 Auburn, one of the most disappointing teams in the country. When I talk disappointing teams, I think of NC State, I think of Virginia Tech, I think of Florida State, I think of Kansas, and Auburn is in that conversation. Do they get a win here? Not in Columbia. Not in Columbia. They can hang around, make it interesting, but I'm not trusting Auburn until they prove to me that they can win a conference game. So give me Missouri by a score of 27-13. I don't like that Auburn offense very much because I like the players, just not the quarterback. There is a little bit of a disconnect there.